Hello. A few years ago, when I pulled the number 3 Allis Chalmers power mower out of the shed, which is a rear mount mower, I started thinking that it might be fun to find a side mount mower for the Allis Chalmers B. Well, I haven't been looking very hard, but I mentioned it to a friend of mine about a month ago, and he found one for sale about 25 miles from where I live. So I went and picked it up. Well, today I would like to go through the mower a little bit and evaluate what it needs, what repairs I might have to make, and what components I might have to uh, acquire in order to use it on the Allis Chalmers B. If you look starting at the back, these two holes in the ends of the frame, this is where it bolts to the drawbar of the tractor. There are supposed to be some spacers underneath them between the drawbar and the frame. Those are missing, and the bolts that fasten it to the drawbar are also missing. And if you look a little bit farther forward, you can see, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but whenever I see a spot like that where it's been repainted, now this is, the entire mower has been repainted at some point in time, but this paint is even on top of the repainted portion. Whenever I see this, it makes me think that maybe there was a cracked weld that needed to be repaired, and somebody just gave it a little bomb of spray paint. And it does look like maybe right there that I may need to grind that out and weld it again. I will have to see if I clean it up if it needs to be repaired. And if you move a little farther forward, those welds look good. These are the brackets that bolt to the bottom of the footrests on the tractor. And they are there and in good shape, but I will need to find the bolts for them. And here's one of the brackets that mounts to the mounting pad on the side of the tractor, and the other one you see is upright right there. Those appear to be in good shape, but again, I will have to find the right bolts to attach it to the tractor. And then the transport rod, I'm going to assume that this is the factory spot for it to sit. The transport rod is, let me reposition here. The transport rod is a little bit bent, so I will probably straighten that out. And the same is true of the bolt end of it. Let me see if I can get that to focus okay. Yeah, come on. Now, anyway, that end, I may need to do something to clean that up here. If I take this spring pin out of there, and you can see there's a bit of a curve to that. So that is something I should straighten up at some time. It's not necessary to do it to use it. And that pretty well concludes looking at the structure. There are a few dings maybe in some of the sheet metal, but it's in pretty good shape. But now what I like to do after looking at the structure is to follow the power transmission through the machine. So that would be from the tractor into the mower, and then along the mower, and then out through the end of the sickle bar. So the first thing to comment on is that the pulley that mounts on the drive shaft of the tractor did not come with it. The guy I bought this from actually originally had the tractor. It was on a 39 Allis Chalmers B. and he apparently didn't know, a lot about farm machinery or anything. At some point in time, he took the mower off the tractor. He no longer had the tractor, but he left the pulley on the tractor. So I will have to try to find either an original or a suitable replacement. Hopefully this summer I can find a pulley at a flea market or a swap meet. And if I can't, I will buy a split tapered bushing to fit the spline shaft, and then a pulley to fit that. So I'll need that, and a belt. The belt actually came with it, but of course if I buy a different pulley, it might not be the right belt anyway, and it's pretty old and crusty anyway. So this pulley right here appears to be in good shape. These actually have some shims between them. You can actually change the speed by adding or removing shims between the halves of the pulley. That seems to be all there, but I may need to adjust that if I get a different pulley for this. Now the next thing I'm going to do is, I'll see if I can. Now I'm not getting any movement out of any vertical movement out of the bearing. So that feels okay right there. And there isn't much to look at until you get to the other end. And the flywheel. And actually, I am going to go get a pry bar to check these bearings. I'm going to try to pry back and forth on the bearings and see if I can get any movement out of them. And I can. So if this is anything like the number 3 mower, which it appears to have a lot of similarity, that has tapered roller bearings in it, I might be able to just adjust them initially to be able to use the mower. However, not knowing their condition, that might be down the road something to simply just replace them. Now, the next thing I notice is this pitman is actually made out of metal. Actually, let me grab the so you can see that's made out of metal. I really don't favor having a pitman made out of metal. I feel like having a wood pitman adds an extra safety measure to avoid tearing up other mechanical components. This, it's a little hard to see. Let me try to get down there so you can see it, if I can. This is the old style pitman. It has a bolt through it to clamp the end onto the mower. This one appears to be installed upside down. This little tab right here should be on the other side. I don't know if you can see it back there. I'll try to get my hand in there to point it out. There is a peg right there, and the tab on this side should be over here, And if the mower bar is in the upper position, that tab prevents it from the sickle from dropping out the bottom. It just falls against it and stops. So that will get flipped over if I'm going to make a new wooden pitman for it, and then I'll flip it over when I reinstall it. The next thing to look at is the cutter bar. Just a general look at it. Some of these mower sections have some big chips out of them. Right there. They actually look like they haven't been used very much. They've just been abused when they were used. So I could use the cutter out of the number 3 power mower to try it out, but I will probably at some point install new sections on this one. You can see this has a double at the end, which is good for preventing plugs, but it's not riveted tight. It also has kind of a, you may have noticed farther down there, it has kind of a mix of rock guards. These are a little different. These are probably original ones or similar to the original ones. Well, I take that back. Look at that. That looks like it has maybe a International Harvester symbol on it. But these are probably original. And some of those are kind of bent. I may have to replace some of them. Here's some other mix and match. And then at the end, the grass board. Somebody's put a piece of sheet metal on here as a grass board. I'm sure it works just fine. I may add some metal rods to it so it rolls the grass over a little better, or I might at some point make a new wooden grass board. The other thing I notice, and I'm going to try to set the camera up here so you can see. It has some loose fasteners there, so I don't know if I don't know the story, because it looks like there's paint between the nut and the frame of the machine, so they may have been loose for a pretty long time and maybe weren't checked. That's part of your adjustment for setting up the mower, so when I go through this at some point I will take care of that too. So I think I'll break down the repairs on this mower to initially I will focus on repairs that have to happen to make it safe and functional, and my second tier of repairs will be making it improving the performance and reliability. And I will probably never fully restore this mower because it just hasn't been my style in the past, and I'm sure I can make it functional and usable and enjoyable without having to have a brand new coat of paint on it and all brand new parts and make it look like a factory original. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.